Hey folks, it's Tom, your frugal prepper. So I've got this 2009 Buick Lacrosse, and it's throwing up the ABS and traction control lights and all that stuff. It's been my experience that these are usually a wheel speed sensor. So I'm going to hook up the Autel. We're going to see which one. These do have real speed sensors on them. But I'm pretty sure it's probably the front one. We're going to have to replace the hub. I already ordered a hub for it. I'm going to kind of shotgun it. If I get the wheel, see which wheel speed sensor it is, and we're going to replace it. I'm not going to do a whole lot of fancy electrical diagnostics and checking wiring and all that kind of stuff, because I just don't have the time. And this is such a common problem on these that I'm pretty sure replacing the offending hub will fix the problem. The wheel speed sensor is integrated into the hub on these, so you have to replace the whole hub, not just the sensor. Alright, so I got the Autel 619 here, and we're going to have to plug her in here, start her up, bring you guys along. Alright, so I got the Autel plugged in, if you can see that there. And so what I'm going to do here is go to ABS SRS, and we're going to do USA, and actually let me do an identify. I think it's going to ask me for a VIN number here. GM, I could do identify vehicle, processing data. And so this is a 2009. And passenger car, it's a Buick, and it wants to know the VIN, if it's H, J, or W. Let me get the VIN number here. So let's look for our fourth VIN digit. It is W. So I'm going to select W, and it's a Lacrosse, and we want to look, I think, at the body module. No, that's an HVAC. Let me back up. Look at the chassis. Electronic brake control module. I think that's might be what we want. Diagnostic trouble codes. It's communicating. And we have one right front wheel speed sensor circuit malfunction. You can see that. And it says this ignition passed since clear history, so it's a stored code, but it doesn't do it all the time. It kind of will come on once in a while, usually when she's backing up. That just tells me that sensor's bad. I don't think it's a loose wiring or bad wire. So we're just going to go ahead and replace that hub. And the right, you know, when you look at cars, a lot of people don't understand this, right would be as you sit behind the wheel, so it's going to be the passenger side wheel. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and jack it up, get this wheel off, and Erico did a 2005 on these not long ago, and so he did it without pulling out, you know, like taking out the strut mount bolts or any of that kind of stuff. I'm going to see if I can do the same thing and see how that goes. Normally on these I've always just taken the strut tower loose and maybe the tie rod in to get back into that hub, but hey, if I can do it without pulling all that apart, I got the little vice grips like he used to put that axle nut on and squeeze it back. So I don't really have time today to do a step-by-step on this, but I'll kind of bring you along as I get to different points on it and show you what I'm doing. Okay, so I've taken the caliper off and tied that up there with the piece of wire, and then I took the axle nut off. It's a 33 millimeter, and then you know, just tapped it back with a hammer. It came loose real easy, and then just put these vice grips on here to hold that axle back, and that will actually give you enough clearance to get back in here to these bolts that are back behind here. I've already gotten this top one out. Now I'm taking out the other two. And corrosion on this one's not real bad or anything. I think it's going to come off and apart really easily. It's a pretty clean car. And but we get corrosion and salt here, but not like some other places, that's for sure. There's a little bit of salt on the roads in the winter time, but in the summertime, you know, we're not salting dirt roads and stuff, so everything's still pretty clean on this one. Alright, so that worked really well. I've got the hub out. There's the plate. This corrosion in here really doesn't look bad at all. I'm just going to spray it with some PB Blaster and slide the new one in. Here is the old one down here. It came out with the wheel speed sensor on the back still attached. A lot of times those hang up in there. Just I had to tap on it just a little bit and it came right on out. So this is going to hopefully go pretty smooth and be a pretty easy job here. Let's go ahead and put all this back together. One thing is you got to kind of push the axle back by hand to get the connector on this wheel speed sensor to come on through. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my new one and we'll get that put in. Alright, so here's the new one. I got the Temkin. I just got it on Amazon. It's around $100. There's a Temkin on it there. It came in a Temkin box, or I took it out of the box. And it comes with the right little connectors and everything. They match up exactly to the old one. So go ahead and slide this sucker back in here. Alright, so it's all back in there. The connectors all put back in and hooked up. You know, you got to make sure you put that plate back in when you put the hub on. Because that holds the connector and everything. I've just snugged the axle nut up a little bit. I'm going to go pull the torque specs up for this guy and torque this axle nut to the right torque specifications. And then all I got to do is put the brake bracket back on with the caliper and the rotor. And this thing is done. So this is a pretty easy job without stopping to film in half hour. And I'll tell you, there is actually enough clearance to get to those bolts without doing these. Because I put it back together without doing those, with the axle right in the way. And with a combination of extensions, this really long one for the top bolt, and then just the short extension on the two bottom bolts, I was able to get in there just fine and get to those axle nuts. So I don't think you have to use that trick on these. It might give you a little more clearance, but really wasn't necessary, I don't think. So I'm going to go ahead and finish bolting this back together. Just thought I'd bring you guys along, and when we get this all back together, we'll go ahead and clear the codes and ship it on down the road. Okay. Alright, so the axle on this calls for 160 Newton meters, or 118 foot-pounds. So we're going to set this up here just shy of 120. That's 120. We'll back it off to maybe. There. Okay. Let me just double check my setting, make sure it's still. Yeah, it moved a little. Okay. Alright, we're set. Go ahead and put the wheel back on and torque the studs down and this part will be wrapped up, and then we'll clear the codes. So that's it for now, folks. I'm not gonna clearing the codes. It's a pretty simple process, and putting the wheel on. We'll just go ahead and end the video here. Everybody, have fun out there. Have a good Memorial Day. This is Tom, your Frugal Prepper.